What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode. I know this is coming a little bit late, but with Christmas and everything, this is the soonest I could get it out for you. But today, we are breaking down episode 5 of Skeleton Crew, titled, You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates. Now, this line I didn't necessarily hear spoken throughout the episode, but it was definitely evident by the end of this episode what this title meant, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, they have a lot to learn about pirates. But let's jump right on into it, shall we? This is about a 45-minute episode, maybe a little bit less, maybe about 40 minutes with credits and, you know, intro and all that stuff. But we came off the last episode, the ending of episode 4, SM-33 had just unlocked some new memories, or old memories I should say, of his captain and them finding Atten, and he was, you know, kind of triggered into this, my captain told me to rip those traitors limb from limb, and he was like kind of charging towards the kids, and then Neel distracted them, and then he charged towards Neel going, I'm gonna rip you limb from limb, and then Jude powered him off, and he kind of powered off over Neel, and Neel passed out, and that was the end of the last episode. So we're picking up this episode in a little bit different. We don't necessarily pick up right where they left off, but we check back in with the parents of these lost children and seeing what they're doing. So we open this episode on Wim's dad, and he's trying to like blend in and not look suspicious, and it looks like Neel's mom comes in and gives him some type of device thing that will make him able to steal a barrier access code, because they're trying to get a message to their kids outside the barrier, but Wim's dad gets caught and he has to get saved by Fern's mom, because he gets caught by a droid, and Fern's mom saves him because she's the supervisor of like these people, but there's a supervisor of everybody that they're trying to get like plans to, and Wim's dad's like, how's your plan going? It's not working, is it? And that's kind of where we end up with the parents, but this is just furthering the parents' little side story a little bit. We don't check in with the parents again this episode, so this is just a little intro to this episode saying, hey, just remembering, hey, there's parents that are worried about their kids. Remember, these are kids that left this planet and they're lost in space, and they're with pirates. You know, these kids are on a very dangerous adventure, and they don't necessarily know how dangerous. But this is the last we see of the parents. The title card comes in showing Skeleton Crew, and then we cut over to the kids, and the kids have SM-33 tied up back on their ship, and he's like tied down to the table, and they're like, if we turn him on, I mean, what if he attacks us again? But they end up turning him on in SM-33 with his unlocked memories. He teaches us and tells us about his old captain and the name of the ship, and the old captain's name was Captain Tack Renard. And I've seen a lot of people going around that Renard backwards is Donner, maybe Dick Donner, Richard Donner, the director of The Goonies and other things, like the Superman movie back in the day, Chris Reeve Superman. But the legendary captain of the ship, Tack Renard, and his ship, the Onyx Cinder. And Jude says, Tack Renard is the most infamous pirate ever known. We must be on his ship, the Onyx Cinder. This is really legendary stuff. You guys have no idea. But so as SM-33 is tied down to the table, he's telling Captain Fern or what he knows, and she's like, well, do you remember how to get to Atten? He's like, of course. She's like, okay, let's go. So he blasts them off somewhere, and he starts to tell them a little bit more of what he remembers, and he says that the crew of Captain Renard's ship, the Onyx Cinder, was getting greedy once they got to Atten and they were close to the treasure, and Captain Renard sensed this, and he knew that they were up for a mutiny, and that's why he sent SM-33 after anyone that was, you know, going to mutiny his crew type of thing. Pirates always fighting against each other, you know, they can't have each other's back. There's no loyalty amongst pirates, no honor amongst thieves. But as this is all happening, Jude goes to see what Wim's doing in the back, and Wim has a good cry and a vent session with Jude, and he's like, it's alright, you'll be back with your mom and dad soon, and Wim's like, not my mom. And Jude sits down next to him, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, and he starts to give him terrible advice, and he's like, you know what the best thing to do is for your parents? Forget them. Forget all your attachments. And he's like, what? That's terrible. I don't want to forget them. And Jude's like, nope, you gotta focus, man. Focus determines your reality, which is a Qui-Gon line, which is just kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know, stuff that in there, a little Qui-Gon tribute little line there. I also love this poster, how it looks like it's like a printed poster, but it was folded up in a kid's pocket and brought to school type of thing. But so Jude, as he's telling him the Qui-Gon line and telling him to forget all about his attachments and his parents, he, you know, force pulls something and gives it to him, and he goes, if you're not a Jedi, how'd you do that? And Jude just doesn't answer, and I'm like, damn, is Jude a Jedi? Like, he clearly has Force abilities, but is he a Jedi and, like, became bad, or, like, just became Force sensitive along the way, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna be Force sensitive, you kind of need some type of training, right? Like, to be able to do what he does effortlessly. Like, he's not really, like, struggling to do stuff. He's just kind of like, you know, like, easily using the Force, and he seems like he's not necessarily using it all the time because he's trying to hide it, you know, but for somebody that hides their powers and not using it all the time, you'd think it would be harder for them to use, you know what I mean? I don't know. But so where SM-33 blasted them off to is, he thought a skull mountain or something cave, but it's actually called Lanupa, and it's like a pleasure cruise ship thing. And it's meant for only adults, so the kids need disguises, and they go in as elders, and they all kind of have just like heavy cloaks and robes and scarves around their neck. Wim looks like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean. Just funny little Easter egg there. But a woman sees Jude and calls him Dash Zenton. Just another one of these names that we've learned for now. Jude Donnawood, Captain Silvo, Crimson Jack, or now a fourth one, Dash Zenton. What the hell? But the woman that sees him is a bounty hunter, makes Jude all nervous, and he's like, people are after us, and he ends up yelling at the kids and raising his voice at them, and he's like, before we get killed by pirates, we have to get the fuck out of here! You know, like, because all the kids are like, I thought we were gonna go to the spa, I thought we were gonna go to the buffet, and he's like, there's pirates after us, we're gonna die, we have to get out of here! Right, like, he knows that this pirate lady, who is named Pocket, is going to talk to Brutus and then send Brutus's pirates here, and they're gonna be found, and they're gonna have people on their ass real freaking quick. But I thought it was interesting that Pocket, the bounty hunter lady here, is played by actress Kelly MacDonald, who voiced Merida in Brave, the animated movie, or Pixar movie, I believe. But just a cool little Easter egg on who that was, the bounty hunter Pocket. So they split up. Jude, KB, and Neel go off running, and they go off on their own. They're looking at like these symbols carved into the rocks. There's like mud spas or something. And he was like, this used to be acid or something like that. Now it's mud. We do see a hut. We don't know which hut or who this hut is, but a little creature brings him food. And instead of eating the food, he eats the creature. Very hut of him. But I was just like, interesting that this is now like a rich planet, like in mud spas and shit like that, where like the spa used to be way down in the mountain, and now there's like spas everywhere and mud spas and shit. I don't know. I would have loved to see this planet back when it was the Skull Mountain or whatever SM-33 thought it was. But Neel, KB, and Jude end up getting caught and chased down by guards, and they have to go on the run and running away from them. Fern, Wim, and SM-33 maybe went together, but they go to find the spa, and they end up finding this big green guy in a bath called Catholips. And at first I was like, uh-oh, who's this big green creature? But it seems like they ended up just making friends with him, and he's cool. And Jude comes in and he smells him and goes, oh, he shouldn't be trusted. And Neel's like, huh? You can tell from his smell that he can't be trusted? And Neel like walks over, gives him a little sniff. But Catholips here, I was like, dude, big giant creatures in Star Wars, I don't know why. Every time I was at first like, ooh, should I be scared of this guy? Is he gonna be a bad guy? Then he just ended up being a cool little green creature in a pool, like, and they just leave him. And by Catholips, you know, like, he helps them get to where they wanted to go. He breaks with he's got like a little spike tail. He broke like a little thing for them to go through. Fern and Wim made friends with him. It's just too funny. But so as they're making it to now, like, their trial to find like their chamber with all the treasure shit in it that Captain Renard left behind, Brutus's troops in the guy that played Urkel the Urkel pirate is on their ass, and all the other pirates are right behind them in the tunnels and you know, about to get there and catch them. And Jude and the kids are at this trial, and it's acid, and he goes, and there's like a message on the ceiling, and it's like, to get to paradise, you must sacrifice what you most care about. And KB's like, you have to sacrifice a life? And they're like, oh, you got a lot to, I think this is where he says you got a lot to learn about pirates, because he goes, pirates don't, the most prized possession of a pirate isn't their life. You know, these guys killed all the time for nothing, you know, for fun, you know, they were killing people. So life wasn't the most precious thing to them. Their treasure was. So, but he's like, we paid that lady at the front desk all our credits. But Jude, of course, had one that he stole for himself. So he threw the last credit into the acid. The acid drains. They're able to get through. But now they get through. They close the door, and the troops are right on their ass, and they're trying to open the thing. SM-33 finds the captain's log, and he goes, oh, you have control of this room? Do you have the control of the room out there? Fill that room out there with acid again. So now the people that are behind them trying to break in the door, room gets filled with acid again. Most of them die. At least we don't necessarily see the other side of the door, but we don't hear them banging or trying to open the door anymore. So I'm guessing he either wiped out Urkel and all of them or most of them. But still, they have to find a new way out of here. But they also found the captain's log. So as Silvo or Jude or whatever flooded that other chamber, SM-33 finds Captain Renard's little log. And it's like a hologram, but the hologram's not perfectly working, so you can't necessarily see the face of Captain Renard or like what he actually looks like. You can just kind of see his silhouette and hear his voice. And he says something along the lines of, they don't know that Aten is the last Republic mint. And if it's the endless city of gold, or endless city of treasure, and treasure is money, and it's a Republic mint, of course it's an endless city of treasure, because they're just making money and printing more money and minting more money. So if someone can get there and make all the money they want, you know, that's of course the pirate treasure world, but it's just a old Republic mint. But what, to me, the old Republic is hundreds of thousands of years old at this point. How are they still making Old Republic money, and why are they still making Old Republic money on this just like hidden planet? You know, like just keep churning out those credits. The kids need lunch money, you know, like I don't know. After Jude learns about this now city that is an Old Republic mint, and that Aten is actually more real than he thinks, and that Captain Renard was real, and the onyx cinder's real, and all that, and the kids are like, uh-oh, Jude's got a bad look on his face. We still have a deal, right, Jude? And Jude says, I revoke my right to challenge the captain as per the code. And he goes, Fern, yield so I don't have to hurt you. And she's like, screw you, and she like swings a big heavy thing at him. It doesn't necessarily work. He grabs her at knife point, or sword point, whatever, his like pirate sword, knife, whatever. He's got her at knife point. I'm like, dude, you're a grown man. You got a kid at knife point? Like, pirates, they're such little scummers. But so he's got Fern at knife point, and Fern finally yields, but like as it's happening, Wim's like, oh, Jude, no. And he gets all sad, and then Wim's like, oh, I'll save the day. After they weren't supposed to be touching anything, he stole a lightsaber, and Jude's like, be careful with that. It's not like your stories. It's dangerous. And he hits the button to spark the lightsaber, but he was holding it wrong, and it sparks down towards his feet and almost cuts off one of his foot. Scares the bejeebus out of him. So the lightsaber didn't work. So Fern yields, so Jude is captain now, and Jude tells SM-33, lock up those kids for mutinous actions against their captain, and SM-33's like, sorry kids, you gotta do what he says, he's my captain now. Those are the pirate rules, you know, and like, that sucks. Fern was captain. Fern's still my captain. As they're about to get captured or put into a cell or something to be Jude's prisoners, Wim goes, oh, I have an idea, and he hits the chair that Neel was leaning on earlier. He saw like a piece of meat, and he goes, well, look at this whole table looks moldy, but that meat looks really yummy. And he goes to grab it, and the chair falls, but Jude grabbed him. So this time, Wim triggers the trap door, they all fall. So we don't know where this leads, but Wim and the kids now escape, and Jude force pulls the lightsaber to himself and ignites it, but it cuts to black right before we see the lightsaber blade like come up. So we hear it, but we don't see the blue blade and him actually holding it and wielding it, just leaving us wanting it, right? Like just wanting to see him wield the lightsaber. But we know he's now held it and sparked it. And so now this force-sensitive pirate captain has a lightsaber, and his captain of the Onyx Cinder has SM-33, you know, and this is where credits rolled. The credits rolled right on them, him force pulling it and clicking it, and they went to black. They didn't show it to us. So the credits roll, and the kids are on their own down this trapdoor. Maybe Catholics will help them again next episode, who knows. But Jude is now SM-33's new captain. So this is the end of this episode, episode 5, another good one. We have 6, 7, and 8 remaining, so 3 more weeks of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Comment below your thoughts and what you've been liking about the show, or how you've been liking it. I'd love to hear those things down in the comment section below. My name's Bigg Cam. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links down in the description below. My Letterboxd, Instagram, Bigg Cam, 2 G's in the Big, pretty much anywhere you can find me. The best way to support the channel, if you've made it this far and you want to support me, the best way to do that is by subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, commenting down in the comment section below, liking this video. Make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get the notifications. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. My name is Bigg Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.